Hello, and welcome again. It is a happy Monday afternoon. Welcome to Great Convos. I am Roger Caesar, and that gentleman over there, my co-host.
Over here, yeah. Hi, Roger. Hi. I always confused on which area we are when it's not in a mirror. Roger, I am Alexandre Matta, the other co-host, or as you said a few weeks ago, the second co-host.
Yeah.
Roger,
sometimes,
you are the action guy. I'm the waiting guy. What does this have to do with anything today?
Oh, yes. We are talking about good things come to those who wait or take action. And today we're going to be discussing whether that wisdom is true or not. And first and foremost, we'd like to say to everyone, whether you agree or disagree, you can always find Great Convos. And we welcome our loyal listeners who come every single week to listen to these great convos. And listen, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. And we always appreciate you. And definitely, this is going to be a lot of fun because we have an exciting guest with us today. I met her a while back. It's been online completely, but man, we connected instantaneously the first time, and we have been friends ever since. I have been on interviews with her. We've gotten close over the years. And in fact, Alex, I am actually heading to her district and being the keynote speaker in District 77. I'm talking about none other than an author, a speaker, and a certified world-class speaking coach, none other than my good friend, Roquita Johnson. What's happening?
Hey, Roger. Hey, Alexandre. Thank you so much for having me. I am excited to have this conversation today.
Yeah, it is a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, you have a busy schedule as it is, and you took the time to be here with us. First of all, tell our listeners, just give them a little brief introduction of who Roquita is.
Yes, I am a certified world-class speaking coach. I am an award-winning speaker, and I am the founder of Roquita Johnson Public Speaking. I train individuals. A lot of them are Christian speakers, but I help them with everything from soup to nuts when it comes to public speaking. So from audience analysis to content creation, brainstorming, organization, delivery, everything, stories. And it has truly been a joy to do that these past 9 years.
I've got a question, Roquita, because we're talking about good things come to those who wait. Did you have to wait a long time before pursuing this particular venture in your life?
I don't know if I would even say that waiting is the right word, because it was not something that I even thought I would be interested in pursuing in the first place, which is probably not unlike a lot of people who get into their calling or the business that they have. I was just someone who wasn't comfortable with public speaking. I would rather fall through the floor, quite honestly, or have somebody else speak. But that's what made me get into public speaking, because I had a job where I needed to get better. So I went to Toastmasters, and then I ended up actually being pretty good at it and liking public speaking. So then I eventually started a business. People would ask me for help with their speeches, and I decided to become a certified coach. The next year, I started a business. So it was kind of like just one step followed the other, but it was never something that I set out to do.
It's funny, you just answered Kathy's question right here. She just asked what drew you to speech coaching as well. So maybe you can answer that a little more with regards to the coaching aspects. And was that also something that you figured had to be the next step after speaking and being comfortable with speaking? Was that the next step, and what drew you to it?
Let me share an interesting story. So the first clients that I had with public speaking were actually a set of 3 siblings. They were youth. Their parents noticed that they were not comfortable with any kind of speaking, and they wanted to get help for their children. Actually reached out to my Toastmasters club, and nobody in the club did one-on-one coaching. I mean, Toastmasters has gavel, things of that nature, but we didn't even do that. So I told her, I said, if you want, I'm happy to come and I can tutor your children of sorts. And she and her husband weren't actually happy with that. I created a curriculum. I came on the weekends and taught them for a few sessions. One day the father said to me, I don't know what you do for your 9 to 5, but you are a really good teacher. And he was right. Everybody has an expertise in something, but that doesn't mean you can teach it. I am good at teaching people. So that's what made me get into this. Just that quick conversation with him. And I did enjoy teaching public speaking specifically. And that's when I got certified as a coach, and the rest was history.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you have clients that are, you said Christian clients. So you're like a Christian speaking coach. I'd like to know what that really means. Why that specificity?
Yeah. Well, I'm a Christian myself. And then I also come from that background. I'm very involved in my church. And a lot of my clients, I find a lot of them, they were faith-based, they were Christian themselves. So a lot of speaking coaches, a lot of us will specialize in a specific type of client. For some people, it might be TED speakers. For some people, it might be the executive or CEO speakers. And my clients, some of them are actually that. They're CEOs, they are entrepreneurs. Some of them are doctors who own their own businesses, but they are also Christian men and women. And when they come to our coaching sessions, there are things that they will want to discuss during it that have to pertain to public speaking. And they feel comfortable doing that with me because they know I'm also a Christian as well. So if someone who's not faith-based wants to come work with me, how I put it is, I'm not forcing anybody to be anything that I'm not, but also know that I operate a certain way as well. So that's why I do have that clearly on my website. I love working with Christian speakers. Whatever you are speaking about, do it for the glory of God. I don't care if you are a minister in the church. I don't care if you are a CEO of your company. That's still something grand that you are doing, and you can be great at it. So that's why I put myself as that. My business is around that.
Yeah, congratulations on that. And while we're talking about that, you've got a program called Slay the Stage, and that's what we put as your title today. Man, tell us about it. And first of all, where are you based out of, Roquita? Where are you based out of? And then talk about the whole idea of starting Slay the Stage. And was that even something that you said, I got to take more action in what I'm doing here? What started that whole process?
So I am based out of Huntsville, Alabama. I've been living here for about 4 years now. So I grew up in the New York City tri-state area. I grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's where I was born and raised. So I've only been in the South for about 4 years now. And I love it. But I also miss my family as well. But that's where I'm based out of. I work with a lot of my clients virtually. I would say that's the bulk of them. Maybe probably a couple that are local, but most of my people are virtual, so I can work with them anywhere.
Good.
As far as Slay the Stage, let me tell you how that came about, even coming up with that name. I was watching a YouTube video. This was years ago. And we're all in public speaking, so YouTube probably watch different videos about public speaking as well, and just to see, well, how do other people teach certain things? I was watching two college professors, and they were giving a workshop, like an hour workshop on public speaking that was recorded. At the end of the workshop, after everything had been taught, the gentleman said, now go out there and slay the stage. And I was like, what? I love that. And it stuck with me. And I wrote it down. And I said, I'm going to have that my business tagline, and I'm going to have different programs around that. And I got it trademarked. That's how that started. So Slay the Stage is more so like the umbrella program, but I'll have different things that stem from it. Like I might have Slay the Stage Summer School, where we will cover we'll have 3 classes over the summer. One focuses on confidence, one focuses on storytelling, one might focus on delivery tactics, being engaging. But it really is an all-encompassing program, but that's how that came about.
Nice.
Can I say one thing though, Alex? That's crazy. I want for other people here who are listening, our loyal listeners, you just said something that I do all the time. In fact, anytime I hear something or something is interesting to me, I immediately put it in my notes, because I don't know if it's a saying, a quote from someone, or something that I hear that I say, wow, that could be useful at another time. I always write it down in my notes. So for everyone here, if you hear anything or if you like something, don't wait. Right away, put it down, write it down in a certain notebook or a pad or somewhere, and save it for maybe a speech, or in her case, the title of her whole program. So yeah, I love that.
Roger, I recently purchased a notebook that fits in a pocket, and it looks like a pocket square. But when I'm wearing a jacket, I can have that. So if someone says something that I want to take note of, it's right there.
Yeah.
That's really good, because otherwise you might forget it if you don't write it down. Roquita, since you work with, and faith is part of what you do, of your work, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there a lot of faith in waiting for the right moment?
Yes, there is. And I love that you brought that up, because I think when a lot of people hear good things come to those who wait, people think of it as very binary. You think of it as, oh, if you are waiting, that means you're procrastinating. That is not necessarily the case. There are people, yes, when they say I'm waiting, they are procrastinating. They have no plan of action about what they're going to do. But there's also waiting intentionally. And that's the school of thought that I am when I say that good things come to those who wait, because you can actually be taking steps while you're in a waiting phase. So I just think that people think of it negatively sometimes when you say that I'm waiting or I'm waiting on something. And I'm like, there's so many stories in the Bible where God made people wait. But there was something grand. There was something for them to fulfill that they might not have been able to do that because he was preparing them in the meantime. And that takes great faith to wait, just like Alexandre was saying. You're prepared. You're getting yourself prepared in the meantime. It's about being intentional during the wait. So that's action almost in itself, being intentional about what you do during the wait. It's not about me sitting on the couch and being a couch potato.
Right.
How am I going about it?
It's searching for 40 years for the right thing to arrive, right? Wandering in the desert, but still keeping the faith that something great will come.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I love to use, because a lot of people, even if you're not faith-based or Christian, most people know about David and Goliath, King David. David was 15 when God told him that one day he would be a king. David had to wait 15 years for that to be fulfilled, though. He didn't know how long he had to wait. He was 30 when he actually became king, but God was preparing him during that time. He fought Goliath. He was in the fugitive in the wilderness, which brought on resilience. He had a lot of moral issues he had to deal with. So all of that built him up to be able to be the type of king that he needed to be. And that's with us in everyday life. I remember even, this was years ago when I was working a corporate and I was thinking about making a switch to a different job. And I would go on interviews after interview, and then things were not working out what I thought I wanted. And then the job that I actually got, that I had to wait so long for, once I got it, only then could I see how and why this worked out the way it did. I was like, God really is so intentional. We don't always understand when we're going through the waiting period, but once you're in it, you're like, oh, okay, I can look back and understand. So even with our regular life.
And in that particular experience, waiting, quote, for the right job, you were still in action, correct?
I was still interviewing, trying to get my interview skills up. I was still bettering my communication skills so that I could be articulate during those interviews. So all of it is a culmination of what made me be the better employee by the time I got the job that I really loved. I didn't realize I was going to like it, but I ended up loving it.
Awesome. Listen, for our loyal listeners, if you have comments, please put it in the chat. Keep them coming. Roquita, what about the person who isn't as patient, who is really, really wanting something to happen now? What advice would you give to them? Because look, I'll even say it for myself. There were moments where things got a little slow, even when, as a speaker, and I would be wondering, why is nothing happening right now? And I get a little impatient in trying to figure it out. And it was my mom who was the one that kind of gave me that same advice, that said, hey, things are going to come and work out. Just give it its time. It will happen. And then eventually it did. But what about those people who are a little impatient and say, it's got to happen right now? What advice would you give to them?
So let me say this. I think there are some opportunities that come along where, they are time bound. I need to apply for this by this deadline. This organization is saying things like that. Clearly, you can't wait on that. But the thing is, after you apply, you're not in charge of the waiting process. You don't know how long it's going to take for them to interview all the speakers, go through all the applications. So in life, even if you are impatient, I say this, you are not going to have a choice in some situations but to be patient. We can take that one action, that one step, and then whether you're someone who believes in God or not, it's like God takes the next step, having that faith there. And even if you're not someone who's religious, sometimes we do just have to wait. You can't force the hand of everything. I have had to learn that I can only do what I can do. And I use that example. If something's time bound, yes, jump on it, apply. You still have to wait though until they decide to get back to you.
Roquita, do you remember? Sorry, Roquita, do you remember what happens so that you needed to learn that particular lesson, that you're not in charge of the waiting process? Why did you learn that?
I would tell you, because I was raised in the faith. So that was kind of ingrained into me from a young age about waiting, because it goes back to what you said, because I love it. It's what I was going to say. Waiting does take faith. Sometimes people think that it's just you just totally leaving it out there and you're not doing anything. But I wasn't raised with that mentality. It takes faith to wait. But also as I got older, and especially when I was applying for jobs and I would take that step to apply and I had to wait, and I need this job now because I got bills coming. You taking too long to let me know. But I didn't have a choice. You just are going to have to learn. I think some things you learn as you just live. Like the older people say, if you haven't experienced that yet, just keep on living.
Yeah, I like that. Roquita, tell our listeners, what are the things that you're doing right now? What's coming up? What are some of the big plans that you have going on right now? And obviously, I'm looking forward to meeting you in April, at the end of April, finally getting to see you in person. This is going to be a lot of fun to be there. But what are some of the upcoming things that you have going on, and maybe our listeners can reach out to you as well?
Yes. So right now, actually, it started today. I have my Speak with Confidence challenge. This is a 5-day challenge. So it starts today. It's going till Friday. And I have a private Facebook group where each day I am giving daily lessons on how to build your confidence as a speaker. Because as you two might know, that is, I think, the biggest question, the biggest issue I hear from a lot of people when they come to me. I do not feel comfortable with public speaking. I feel like the nervousness is going to overwhelm me. So I created this challenge around that because people need to have quick wins. They need to have baby steps that they can take that are ultimately going to help their confidence go from a 0 to a 10. So that's why I decided, you know what, daily steps that they can change, that they can take. So each day I have a video for them. Like today we talked about mindset, because before I can give you any strategies or tactics, you got to get your mindset right when it comes to being a good public speaker. And then I'm going to give them a challenge to do today. Tomorrow it will be the same thing until the end of the week. So that's the main thing I have going on right now. And we were off to a great start today. So I really enjoyed it. But also, I also have, excuse me, my voice is a little scratchy, everybody. My program, my 9-session coaching, where that's, I would say, the big thing for people who are like, they need a lot of help. I am accepting new clients for that. So we're in March now. It's a good time to get in if you want to be a coaching client right about now, because I only take certain coaching clients certain times of the year so they don't overlap. So those are the main things I have going on right now.
And to sign up for either of these programs, do we go to your website?
Absolutely, at roquitajohnson.com. Even though we already started the challenge today, if someone decides they still want to get in and go through the rest of the week, let me know. Just please reach out to me. The videos are still in the group, which is the good thing. So even if you missed today's lesson live, you can always go back and watch it, and you can see what the challenge was and do it.
That is awesome. Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much, Roquita. What a good interview. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your expertise, and being vulnerable and talking about how you live your life and how you got to where you are today. You are a successful story in the speaking world and as a Toastmaster. For those of you who are Toastmasters here, she is a true reflection of what this process can do for you. So thank you, Roquita, for being here with us today. Closing remarks, Alex, before I shut it down?
Well, I want to highlight this again from Kathy, who says, God, give me the patience, but give it to me right now. There is a balance to be struck between waiting for the right moment, but taking action. And Roquita, you've given us some things to think about, including we're not in charge of the waiting process. We can be, let's think about what we do have charge of, be in action for those things that we can control, and what we can't control, then that's what we wait for. And good things can come to those who wait and take action.
There we go.
Amen.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, finish up. Did you want to say something, Roquita?
No, I just said amen.
Okay. Well, thank you again for joining us. To our loyal listeners, we appreciate you being here today. We thank you for your comments. We thank you for participating. And of course, we thank Roquita Johnson for being here and sharing her expertise and her knowledge on all things speaking. And as we always say here, whether you agree or disagree, you can always find great convos. Keep the conversation going amongst yourselves. Have yourself a wonderful week. Take care.
Bye-bye.